First, I'd like to recognize also Dr. Richard Snyder, former mayor, and current council members are here today. Also from our school board, we have David Adelstein. I always want to say Dr. David Adelstein. I know he's a lawyer. So. We also have, of course, our city manager, John Davidson. We have our fire chief, Chief Wallace. We have battalion chief, Chief Gorell. We have our police chief, Joe Payne, right there. We have, of course, we have, I want to say Treasurer Emeritus, is that good? Vic Robinette is here. All right, and then we also have from our school district, we do have our superintendent of schools, Joel Shapiro. Joel. And we do have, of course, our principal from South Pasadena High School, also a South Pasadena High School graduate, Janet Anderson. So, we also from Anthony Portantino, our current assembly member and person I plug, he's running for Congress. Hovhannes Gasparian is here as his representative. And I'd like to then also recognize Sue Kim Hansen's family. Frency Cho, she's here, and family. You want to wave a little bit? I know one of their cousins are going to be speaking here a little later as one of the relatives. So if I've forgotten or missed something, it wasn't intentional, and somebody I'm sure will bring it to my attention before we finish today. Okay, as we enter in this 10th anniversary, the reason of coming and reflecting here each year since I've been on the council is to have a connection not only, as I see with maybe Sarah here and my daughter Tiffany and Jesse over here as current and future graduates of South Pasadena High School, but connection to history. We're here to talk about 9/11, 2001. In a lot of cases, as a city and residents of a major American city 2,000 miles away, most of us only reflected and saw this incident on television. Some of us as our children were very young when this happened, so they may have saw it on television for some, but most of them today, this weekend, is probably the first glimpses that they have seen as almost near adults to understand the weight of that point in time, which we as adults will probably be forever burned in our memory. There are those points in time. We're here today to recognize South Pasadena's direct connection to the 9/11 tragedy. As we will talk about later as we go through here, we had a daughter of South Pasadena, a graduate of South Pasadena High School, 1984, Sue Kim Hansen, was on the second plane that hit the towers. So we're here today to connect. And they always say the term never forget. But we're here to connect as our generation and future generations with our children to something that is part of American history. We're here today to put down all the political divide, all the rancor that we see on television today, to come back as we did September 12th of 2001 as all being Americans, all being united as one toward a purpose that I think on this September 12th and 2001 reinvigorated the spirit of volunteerism, the spirit of giving, the spirit of reaching out to our fellow human beings and of course our citizens on being hopefully better people, better individuals, and of course a better nation than we were September 10th, 2001. Here we are 10 years later, continuing to build that connection to the memories of that day and hopefully the memories that we will build for the future and beyond. So that connection is what we're here today. I want to make sure we recognize that over almost 3,000 innocent people perished on that day. People that were fathers, mothers, daughters, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, that in these last 10 years, I believe they are hoping for us to make the best of that experience and spread it through our lives going forward. I know Councilman Putnam talked about those who have fought for our country. I look at those that died on September 11th, those that were innocent weren't prepared. But on that day, those that weren't prepared for that tragedy, there were others that spent their lives to be prepared for that tragedy. That's such tragedy. So those of the members of our safety personnel, fire, police, who every day step forward for the citizens in preparation for that tragedy or to come, and be prepared to step forward and be on that line. So we're here to not only dedicate those who lost their lives that day, our safety personnel, and those of our military who, on that day, volunteered, stepped forward, went through training, and went to be prepared to take on the vigil for our country and for freedom across our seas and to foreign battlefields, and that are still out there today. So we are also here for them. There are some other elected officials here. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure this is sort of an open thing. I wasn't sure if Dr. Schneider, if you wanted to make any comments, or Hovan, were you making any comments for the Assembly member? We were okay. All right. I'd like to now also introduce and welcome to the microphone Kevin Danny, a former South Pasadena resident and also a survivor of the attacks on the World Trade Center. And he is here with us almost every year, and we're very honored on this special occasion and this anniversary to have him here with us. So, Kevin.
Thank you, Mayor. It's great to be here in South Pasadena, longtime resident. My mother, Pam, still lives here in this beautiful city, and this is like coming home for me, especially on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. It was pretty powerful this morning because my wife and I were watching the coverage on CNN, and we looked at the images, and we saw they were reading or showing the names of all those that were lost, and we looked at the screen and it said Sue Kim Hansen. And I got chills as I saw her name and then her family's names that came across that TV screen. And I know that she's here with us today, and we're going to pay tribute to her and her family. My story goes, as a South Pass resident, I grew up here, ended up going to St. Francis High School and then Occidental College, so I stayed close by to home, and then accepted an internship with my company, Morgan Stanley. And I had just graduated from school in May and passed all my training, and then they said, Kevin, you're going to go off to New York to complete the final leg of your training, and you're going to be in the World Trade Center. And I said, wow, that's incredible. And we started on September 10th, 2001 on the 61st floor of the South Tower. And my entire group was so excited about the program and about being in New York City and in the World Trade Center. And then, of course, we all know what happened on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. We were in the towers, and I remember that it was a beautiful day in New York City. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and it was just a beautiful morning there in New York. And we were dismissed for a 20-minute break, and it was during that time that I went to the opposite end of my floor and looked out the window, and in horror saw that there were flames that were pouring out of the North Tower. And I was 22 years old and could not believe what I was looking at, and so I ran back to my conference area on the 61st floor with my company, and we started to evacuate. And we evacuated, got down to the 55th floor, and then that's when the second plane slammed into our tower, just 20 floors above me. And it was a violent collision. The walls cracked, and the lights went out, and we knew at that time that we were under attack. And so very quickly we proceeded down those stairs and got down to about the 30th floor, and that's when I started passing firefighters that were on their way up. And I'll never forget their faces. I'll never forget their words of encouragement as they said, "You're going to make it, you're fine. Everything's secure down below." And that really helped us as we went down those stairs. And I got out of the tower and looked up and saw these two massive buildings on fire. And that's when I left the area to contact my family here in South Pasadena. And it was during that time, 12 minutes after I exited the South Tower, that it collapsed. And I saw that dust cloud that was coming down the street and ran as fast as I could and was able to escape the dust cloud. But my message to you today is one of a positive story. I'm one of the lucky ones, not because I survived, but because I got to witness the incredible heroism of our firefighters, our police officers, the rescue personnel that were there that saved so many like me. And as the mayor said, let's use this time to thank our local firefighters and police officers, all those who put themselves in harm's way for us each and every day. A lot of it goes unnoticed, but not for me. Every time I see a firefighter, a police officer, I say thank you for their service and for all that they do for us. Two other things that I wanted to mention. Number one, of course, I have a beautiful family now. My wife Elena is here and our 9-month-old daughter Molly. I have a 3-year-old son, Luke. He couldn't be here today. He wanted to play at the park, so he's doing fine. And one very important aspect for me is my family, of course. And I've got my aunt and uncle, South Pass residents, Jay and Kathy Toffoli. My cousin Claire's here as well. And the support of family has been so incredible. And in conclusion, I do want to say that one of my fondest memories of coming home after my experience was meeting here at the fire station in South Pasadena. I had dinner with the firefighters and I wanted to thank them for their service and what they do for us in our own community. And 10 years later, it's one of my fondest memories of breaking bread with them, telling them how much I care about them and what they do in our communities. And it reminds me on the 10th anniversary how lucky we are to have such a fine fire department and police department here in the city. But with that, let's always remember 9/11. Let's take those lessons that we learned that horrible day. But I'm here to tell you that there were some incredible positives, and we'll always remember the service that those men and women did for us that day, and I'm here because of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. It's always wonderful to have him here and connect us to those days. Next, I'd like to invite up a member of the family, Soo Kim's family, Ji Sung Kim. And she is going to speak on behalf of the family.
First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming this morning. We are so grateful that we get to have this space where we can come and remember her. She was an amazing person, and to me, she is the symbol of survival, in a sense, only for so many reasons. I think. Well, I think I want to say a little something about the idea of trauma and the trauma that 9/11 caused. I think we all watched on television the events unfold, and probably no one watching would have thought, that's somebody that we know, that's somebody we love, it's happening to me. And when I heard the news from my cousin Stan, Sue's brother, that she was on the plane, it was a rift, I suppose, some kind of otherworldly reality that we weren't prepared for. And 10 years later, when more news came, such as the 10th year anniversary or the hunt for Osama bin Laden, when things like that come up, I can't watch television. I just shut down, and because I'm flooded by the memories, and that's kind of what happens with trauma. You can't contain the past. The past continues to interfere and, I suppose, repossess the present. So now that, so in these 10 years, I think we've had lots of ample opportunity to remember and think about Sue in our own personal way. And to me, Sue is a survivor. She didn't grow up in the easiest of circumstances. She was raised by my grandmother until she was 5 in South Korea. And I think for her, when she reunited with her family at the age of 5 and came to live in South Pasadena, that wasn't per se the most, I guess, easiest of life trajectories because of that early severance. And I think partly due to that, the finding family for herself, defining community and connection was always really important. I think and in the end, she found that she had her daughter and her husband, and she had a wonderful life. She always represents overcoming struggle for me, and she always represents intelligence and compassion, and forever a kind of search for inner peace. Now that I have family, and I have 2 daughters, and her brothers also have children, and her, Francie also has children as well. What happened on 9/11 will always stay with us, and it's something that we need to talk about with our children, rather than per se shutting it off like I sometimes do. I hope to just impart a sense of, I suppose, the need for peace in the world, because without that kind of peace, these tragic events may happen again, and you don't know where it's going to show up. You might be watching another kind of 9/11 and totally distance yourself as you're watching it unfold on television or on the internet or what have you. And then that phone call might come that totally shocks your world. So with that, I'd just like to say, every time we remember 9/11, I hope we also remember the need for true peace everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the Kim family to come forward. We're going to display the plaque. I know she's sort of went that way. Sally, I'd like you to be up here too for the picture. We're going to display or unveil the plaque that we are placing here in our civic square or in memoriam, to have that tangible connection to remember Sue Kim Hansen, her husband Peter, and their daughter Christine, and their connection and through South Pasadena in our history. One quick question: was there a South Pasadena's high school alumni from 84, 82, 83 here today? Could I ask a couple of you to come forward after this thing, because it would be great to have you as part of this also. So. stretch. Okay, to read what it says on the plaque. Sue Kim Hansen, South Pasadena High School, class of 1984, died September 11th, 2001. To remember Sue, her husband Peter, and her daughter Christine, who lost their lives during the attacks on the World Trade Center. On this 10th anniversary, South Pasadena commemorates their lives and honors their memory. Dedicated September 11th, 2011. Can I have a couple of alumni here that were from class of 84 that were here? I saw two. And introduce our current principal of the South Pasadena High School, class of 1974, correct? That's all right, I'm 75, so. And I'll just say, this is a plaque dedicated and given to the high school from the class of 1984. And for those who cannot read Korean, I have been told it's the symbol for peace. And I think it's very fitting that this will be on display at our high school, somewhere in the quad or. Okay. So why don't all get real close with a picture with Janet? How about this, right around the plaque? Why don't we get them around the plaque? Did anybody want to speak on behalf of the class? Did anybody want to speak on behalf of the class? There we go.
Hi, I'm Michelle Curry. I work at this school district now, and I'm so excited to see all my fellow alumni here today. What I remember most about Sue is just that she was just a very nice person, always smiling. She was our senior class secretary, and we have our senior class president is here also. And I remember seeing her at our 10-year reunion and speaking with her. And even then, she just, she came up to me and, hello, and oh, Michelle, I remember this, I remember that. And, we weren't super close, but she was just a really warm person. And hearing about her coming from Korea and having a difficult life, I didn't know that, but I wouldn't have guessed it because she just had such a warm heart. Does anyone else want to say anything? Yeah, okay. Francie's going to come.
I'm short. Okay. I'm Francie Schwartz, and Sue is a friend of mine in high school, and also we went to Berkeley together, and we would run into each other a lot. And after that, we fell out of touch. So my memories of her are fairly old, but one thing that I remember about her is she just had this really big personality. And one time in college, I ran into her on the street. We were talking, and she wanted to know what was new with me, and I don't know what I said, but she had this long list of things that she was doing and things that she was interested in and wanted to pursue. And then she said at the very end of the list, and she said, oh, I've been writing poems about people, and I'm going to write a poem about you. And right there, next to the Bank of America, she whips out this pad of paper and a pen, and she dashed off this poem and handed it to me. And honestly, I don't have that poem anymore. I don't remember if it was any good. I just remember, what kind of person would just be able to do that? She just was so confident and so engaged in the world around her that she could just write a poem right there on Shattuck, And so I think about that a lot. I never knew the family that she started. I never met her husband or her daughter. I never knew about her scientific achievements until well after the fact, but I just feel so grateful that I knew her at all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ann Moore. I wasn't going to speak. Sue was one of my dearest, closest friends. I met her in 5th grade, and we've been friends ever since. We were together through elementary school, junior high, high school. We stayed close in college. I was at her wedding, at the birth of her child. My husband and I went on to visit them, saw their beautiful home in Boston. But one thing I want to share about Sue is that being in South Pass was one of the best parts of her life. She really felt like this was a home for her. She did come at age of 5, and she entered the schools, and through that entire time, she felt accepted and loved. And as people were mentioning, everyone knew of Sue. She was just this bright, happy, cheerful spirit. So I just wanted to thank everyone here for coming to acknowledge and rejoice in her life. Thank you.
Well, I would like to really thank the class of '84 for being here and coming here today. It means a lot to have you here. And again, also, I'm sure it means a lot to the family too. So, thank you, Janet. All right, I seem to have lost my program, but as I recall, we do have Amazing Grace, and we do have our, there it is. And we have John McDonald on the bagpipes from the Pasadena Scottish Pipes and Drums. So, yes. As we get ready to close this particular ceremony, we have a tradition, and with fire and safety and police personnel, I think they were going to sound a siren for us as we prepare to close. Now, where do we go from here? September 11th, 2011. What we want to do, we reflected, we remembered, and thank you for those alumni who brought us even more memories in the family that was here. We have a plaque that I will hopefully you will step up and see. and take a look at and visit whenever you get a chance. But there's one thing that we bring everybody here together today for a reason. Before we step away from this ceremony, we want to make a commitment to all those people who lost their lives, who gave their lives, or are continuing to put their lives at risk, that we here make a commitment. Instead of observing history from the sidelines, there's 3 steps I would like everybody to do today. 1, I want you to stand up. Everybody stand up. Those in chairs, be careful now. Stand up. I want you to step forward. So you're stepping out of the crowd, and you make a commitment today to get involved. Get involved in our lives, in others' lives, in your community's lives, in your nation's lives, to make things better. So you're standing up, you're stepping forward, and you're going to get involved. Thank you for coming today. I'm very proud to be here as mayor and, of course, our city council. We do have Councilman Michael Cazziati is here. Also, our city manager, assistant city manager Sergio Gonzalez is also here, and they were not on my list there, but they are here. So thank you very much for coming today, and of course there's coffee and drinks. And thanks again, Sally, for the great work of helping put this together. We have Jesse. Come on up, Jesse. Jessie is sort of like my summer intern. She's been helping me as the mayor put things together. She helped do some of the research and the pictures and things like that. So I want to make sure she gets a great thank you too for all the work she did this summer. Thanks again. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and don't forget the commitment to get involved. Thank you.